Hello, my name is Cyrus Adkisson. I'm the creator of Etheria, and today I'm going to show you how to use the Etheria Voxelizer, which allows you to take an image, any image, and turn it into a voxelized, either lying flat or standing up straight image on your Etheria tile. So here's some examples of flat images, and here's an example of an image that's standing up in the Z direction. So let's get right to it. All right, so we're on EtheriaVoxelizer.com. You load an image here. You can see that my image is larger than the frame here, so I'm going to reduce it just a little bit. That's good enough. The selection preset is defaulted to 100 by 133. That's because an Etheria tile is 100 voxels wide and 133 voxels from the lowest point, meaning the southern tip of the hexagon, to the northern tip of the hexagon. All right, so because we want our image to show up in those dimensions, we hit select and we get a selection area here. Because we're not covering what we want to cover, we're going to grow that by 2 and recenter it here. On the right hand side, we can resize because the image, the source that we've got here is 200 by 266, and we want it down to 100 by 33. So we can also increase in the view pane here, just so for our own viewing purposes. It has no effect on the output, but we'll increase that to fit the pane. The palette is not great. On 4-bit 16 color Etheria originals, we could do any of these. That's even worse. Darks and grays is kind of interesting, but let's go ahead and go to our 6-bit 64 color palette, and that's starting to look, pretty decent. If we are not happy with the centering, we can do this. All right, so we're going to select black and replace it with nothing, 0. We could replace it with yellow or red or whatever, but we're going to get rid of that altogether. It doesn't look great, but that's fine. What you would do if you wanted to do a nice cut around a head is you would do like a green screen. You would take a bright green, draw it in there manually, and then replace the green with nothing, with empty. All right, so it looks like we're pretty much good to go there. Down in these parameters, we can choose whether we want it to lie flat or in the Z direction, west to east or north to south. We're going to do west to east flat. No, we're just going to do flat. And then we're going to hit center on tile, moving it over by half and down by half. Otherwise, it'll only build in the northeastern quadrant. We're not going to use any advanced parameters for now. Hit build. Copy this code here. Go to the Etheria builder. Paste that code into the spot where you paste code, and then we know that our height is flat, so we can go with the lowest height of 2 to save gas. Our palette was the 64 palette. We can put a name to our tile like that and then hit render. By default, the Etheria builder defaults to tile 174, which is this island here. And you can see we've got the flat image. All right, moving on, let's do one in the Z direction. Going back to the voxelizer, we're going to use the same image. Actually, we're not. So if you'll notice here on this build, let's look at this pink brick here. Because we're viewing it straight on and we're going to be building in the Z direction, there's an aspect ratio issue because this is 1.6 wide to 1 tall in aspect ratio terms. So what you're going to want to do is use an external program to squish your file a little bit. It needs to be 62.5% as wide as it was before to get the proper aspect ratio. Now in the selections, we're going to go to 100 by 128 because instead of going south to north, we're going from the bottom layer to the top in the Z direction, tall, and hit select. Again, this is too small, so we're going to grow that by 2. Now this is our selection. On the right hand side, we're going to again do resize this image if larger. Just so for our viewing purposes, we're going to expand that. Still looks, incorrect in terms of aspect ratio, but that'll come out in the wash once you've built. We're still at Etheria 64 colors, so we're going to leave that there. We're going to click on the black, go to transparent, tolerance maximum to get rid of everything. You got an extra couple voxels here. I'll show you how to handle those in a second. Hit apply. We're going to go down here. This time we're going to go vertical in the west to east and going tall. This is the bottom corner of your tile. This is the top corner of your tile. So we're going to be building in that direction. Center on the tile, we're no longer needing to center in the Y direction because we're staying on that 0 spot in the Y direction. But we do need to move it over, and in the Z direction it's just going to stay flat on the bottom row. And we hit build. We've got our code. Take it back to the builder, paste it in. This time we need the height to be 128 because we're building in the Z direction, and we're going to hit render. And there we go. Okay, so that's how you build in the Z direction. Now, to get rid of these voxels, you're going to need to do a little bit of painstaking coding work, but it's very, very simple stuff. Here at the bottom, right before the end of the file, you can do things like if x is greater than -10 and x is less than or equal to 10, we might as well do an equal here as well, then build array I is each voxel. So if the x of the voxel is between -10 and 10, then we're going to replace that with nothing. All right, so it carved out a nothing there, and you can see how this can be used to get rid of these voxels. Just to put a finer point on it, I'm going to do it in a Z direction as well. And Z is greater than or equal to, let's say, 10. And Z is less than or equal to 30. So this is going to carve out a rectangle right in the middle of my face, or maybe my neck area. And there we are. See how that carves it out? So we're going to move that over to this area and get rid of these voxels. Going to move that x to -49. We'll call this -35. It might take out a bit of my shoulder there, but it's not important for these purposes. And then from, let's say, Z, we can go all the way to the top. Doesn't matter because there's nothing at the top there. Nothing here. So I'm going to grab all those. And just so you can, to illustrate what I'm doing here, I'm going to make it bright green. Come on. Today, Junior. Probably because this Z is so high. Yeah. So it's drawing all that green there. Now, you can see that because I haven't specified Y, it's just going to do all Y values. And it's taking out a bit of my shoulder there, but that's fine. Now, you can see how we're blanking out those voxels. Hit 0 there. This should be faster since it doesn't have to draw all that green stuff. And there we go. So those errant voxels that were there have been blanked out by our invisible blanking rectangle in 3 dimensions. All right, one more thing I want to show you. See how this is only 1 voxel wide? If you give it a little bit of thickness, it kind of makes it look more natural for portraits. So what we do here is we go to the Voxelizer. In the advanced parameters, we're going to put thickness of 5, and then we're going to hit center on tile so it lowers it by 2. I like to do an odd number for the thickness so that it is centered on that Y bar. Hitting render. And our errant voxels are going to be back because I took away our blanking rectangle here at the bottom. A little bit longer to render because it's doing a thickness. It's got to draw all those. And there we go. So now we have the portrait with some thickness to it. Again, your source image, you can do a green screen where you just manually go along and draw green around the head and then all around here, and then blank that out with nothing instead of, this abomination that we've got here. All right, after you're done, you take this code, this hex code, and you can put it on your tile in the tile manager. It'll take you back to Etheria.world where you connect your MetaMask. Only connect your MetaMask to Etheria.world, nowhere else, just for security reasons. And you can paste it on there that way. For more general information about how to use the Etheria builder, not with the Voxelizer, just by itself to build a house, a tree, or whatever it is you want to build, you can go to YouTube and search for Etheria builder and watch that video. I hope this was helpful. Thank you for watching. Bye-bye.